Okay, well, this next speaker, he supported the Anti-Appleseed Project for many years, as well as Best Answer for Cancer. Dr. Francisco Contreras, he's the Director, President, Chairman of Oasis of Hope Hospital in beautiful Mexico. Dr. Contreras, welcome to the stage. Dr. Contreras also has a booth out in front here to the left out that door, and he will be signing free books, is from my understanding. So, thank you. Welcome. Thank you very much for making this journey here, and please enjoy. Mike, you recommend holding for clarity? Whichever you prefer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank the organizers for inviting me. And so before we get the first slide, or maybe you can put the first slide, I'd just like to say that the Oasis of Hope was founded by my father in 1963. And we've been doing integrative oncology for all those years. It's about 61, 62 years now. And thank God we've been very successful in helping cancer patients under a philosophy based on two pillars. The first one is what Hippocrates said, first, do no harm. And we interpret that as whatever you're going to do to the patient, do it in a way that it improves the quality of life of the patient, especially cancer patients. And the second pillar was stated by Christ when he said, love your neighbor, we say your patient, as you love yourself. So we never offer our patients anything that we would not be willing to take ourselves. And that changes dramatically the equation on how you treat cancer patients. There was a poll that was published in Cancer, one of the big cancer journals, several years ago, where they asked oncologists if they had a patient with stage 4 lung cancer, would they give them chemotherapy? And all of them said yes. The next question was, if you had stage 4 cancer of the lung, would you give yourself chemotherapy? And 86% said no. And the other 14% were lying. So I want to talk to you about a part of our therapy that's very important and that I feel is really the future of oncology, is our dendritic cell-based immunotherapy, well known as dendritic cell vaccine, although it's not a vaccine. And we developed our IMPACT protocol. IMPACT stands for Immuno-Personalized Autologous Cell Therapy. And this therapy is produced in our state-of-the-art laboratory at the hospital. And we have very sophisticated personnel there that knows how to culture cells. So we prepare this basically from the blood of the patients. From the blood of the patients, we separate two major groups. One is the circulating tumor cells, from which we will obtain the antigen of the tumor. The antigen of the tumor is like the identification, the ID of the tumor. And then several white cells, especially dendritic cells. We are going to then be culturing these cells and pulsating them or activating them with the antigen of the tumor. So we have two main products. One is the Dendritic, which is actually the dendritic cells, and the other ones are the LAC, which are a combination of lymphocytes that we activate to attack tumor cells. The LACs are really a combination of several anti-tumor white cells that are designed to attack the tumors. The main ones are called the natural killer cells. And we use this as a bridge between the application of these cells and the activation of the dendritic cells. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but dendritic cells are probably the most important element of the immune system, even though they kill nobody or nothing. But they're the ones that orchestrate the immune response. And they are called antigen presenter cells. And so what they do is that they see the foe, and then depending on what foe it is, they choose the element of the immune system to attack that foe. So if it's a bacteria, it's going to choose the specialized white cells to attack bacteria, virus, parasites, and so on and so forth. And the agents in charge of attacking cancer cells are the natural killer cells. So they will present the antigen of the tumor to the natural killer cells so that the killer cells can actually see the tumor and attack it. Otherwise, nothing happens. If there is no presentation, nothing happens. And the reason why tumors grow, in spite of the fact that the natural killer cells are there, is because the dendritic cells don't see them as foes. Because cancer originates from our normal cells, and they mutate, and our immune system virtually does not see them. So the purpose of this dendritic cell-based immunotherapy is to really just drop the blindfold of the immune system so that the immune system can see the tumor and attack it. And it is very, very effective. In fact, it is well known that if your immune system is up to par, is 100%, you cannot develop cancer. That's why we all know the little old lady that lives in the corner, smoked all her life, ate only junk, she's 99, and her cholesterol is perfect and has no cancer, right? I can tell you about my mother-in-law, she's 95. The last time she drank water was in 1953. That's when Coca-Cola came to the market, and that's all she drinks. Her idea, and my wife is here, her idea of vegetables is French fries, and she's doing great. I think that even if she stabbed herself, she wouldn't die. Could I have some water, please? Anybody? Gaston, maybe you can help me with it. At any rate, so your immune system is paramount for your health. And in oncology, it has been neglected for the longest time. Virtually until this millennium, immunotherapy has been developed, and now we have these targeted immunotherapies, which have provided some help. But this is a much better way of helping cancer patients. So we do the blood collection, and thank you very much, the cell activation, and then we infuse the patients with either the lax and then with the dendritic cells. And we have, I don't want to bore you with very technical stuff, but this is how we separate them, and this is a very sophisticated system where you start with the clusters of differentiation for the lymphocytes that are designed to destroy tumor cells, the natural killer cells that I mentioned, and some CD8s and CD4s, and we have a way of determining how many and how active they are before we give them back to the patients. This is Ralph Steinman, who was the one that discovered actually the dendritic cell. And he was awarded a Nobel Prize in 2011 for this discovery, a Nobel Prize of Medicine. Unfortunately, he died one day before the Nobel Prize was awarded, and he died of cancer. He was not able, all his development was in the lab, and he was not able to experience what we know now because of his discovery, that we have developed a very effective anti-tumor agent. And so, again, the dendritic cells are exposed to this antigen, and we expose it to about 10 million dendritic cells, and that is the average dose that we give back to the patient. And every dendritic cell will activate about 500 lymphocytes to attack the tumor. And that is why it's so effective. And again, we do the blood collection, the extraction, the antigen loading, and the quality control where we know for sure that we have converted the monocytes, this thing doesn't work, the monocytes of the CD4 plus, and we extract the antigens, the receptors, and we make them the CD4 minus, which are now we know that they're dendritic cells, and then we expose them to a machine that lets us know that they're the CD209. Again, this is just too technical and too boring, but we know for a fact that they're dendritic cells. And it's important so that we know that the therapy is going to be more effective. We can also do what are called the TILs, tumor-infiltrating lymphocytes. Now, these are lymphocytes of the ones that I mentioned to you, the natural killer cells, that were able to break all of the barriers that the tumors put to defend themselves from the immune system. And so they get into the tumor. And so instead of just getting lymphocytes that are circulating, when we have tumor tissue, fresh tumor tissue, we can extract the tumor-infiltrating lymphocytes and culture those, expand those to high numbers, expose them to the antigen, and they're already exposed to it, and then give that back to the patients. So look at it this way. The normal NKs are like the normal soldiers, and the TILs are like the Delta Force or the SEALs or Rambos. Some of us remember Rambo. There are some young people here that don't know what I'm talking about, but they're very, very effective soldiers. So we can do that as well. This is a process that is a little bit more complicated, takes a little bit more time, but whenever we can do that, it's going to be very good for the patients. So we have several ways to obtain the antigens from a tumor biopsy, from tumor circulating cells, and from fresh tumor tissue. This is a little bit more complicated because you would need to operate on the patient. When that's possible, we do, and then we can extract more antigens than with tumor circulating cells before we give them back to the patients. So our facility, as I mentioned, this is a state-of-the-art laboratory that complies with all of the good manufacturing practices of laboratory, and the personnel that works there is highly, highly trained. So our impact therapy has been very effective, and I want to show you now the impact that it has in real life to real patients. So this is a 60-year-old female that came to the Oasis of Hope with a very large fungating cancer of the breast with multiple metastases all over her body. So on your left, you see July 21st, all the lungs are virtually filled with tumor tissue. The black mass that you see on the right side of the patient is the large tumor. I removed that surgically, but by November, you can see that most of the tumors were gone and that the tumor activity in just a few months has reduced tremendously. This patient is doing wonderful now. She's still alive and doing well. This is a 60-year-old female. What that means is that she came virgin to treatment. When the patients come to us without chemo or radiation, they do much, much better. But you see that she was just filled with tumors all over her body, and this was May 22nd. By August, she was virtually tumor-free. She's, again, doing wonderful, doing great, and we've vaccinated her now about 6 times. This is a 76-year-old prostate cancer with a very high Gleason. For those of you that know, the Gleason goes from 6 to 10, 10 being the most aggressive. This patient was a 9. Also, massive metastases all over his bone structure. And we started therapy June 7th. By September, you can see that most of the tumors are gone, and he is doing quite well. He's a very new patient, so the last was just a few months ago. This is a 50-year-old with breast cancer. We receive a lot of patients with breast cancer because the word goes around that we do very well with them. And so you can see also the bones and the lungs, a lot of lymph nodes all over her body. And so in a few months from July to October, the reduction of the tumor activity is just massive. And this patient is doing very, very well. Eric is a 55-year-old man with squamous cell carcinoma of the tonsil. And as you can see, right below the brain, this black thing, the brain looks like a tumor because it consumes a lot of sugar. So that's not cancer. And so those masses down there are the tumor with a lot of lymph nodes. I removed, in this case, one of the lymph nodes, so we were able to prepare the TILs and our vaccine with antigens from the tumor. And you see May 21st, by October, free of tumor activity, no evidence of disease. So we have been very active in this. We've been doing this for 13 years now. And very soon, we're going to be able to produce more dosages in the first draw of the blood. So right now, we can only produce one dosage per draw. We're going to be able to produce between 6 and 10, and that's going to bring down the cost significantly, and we're going to be able to vaccinate the patients at closer intervals. And the literature shows, at least in animals, that the results are better the more vaccinations the patient receives. So very soon we're going to be able to do that. A number of doctors are now referring patients to us just for the immune therapy. So they do all the metabolic here in the United States, and the patients come to us just for the vaccine. If you're interested in that, we have a brochure. If you want to form part of our collaborative partnership, the number that you can call is 1-619-690-8450. But again, we have brochures and more information if you're interested in doing this and partnering with us to help more cancer patients. Thank you very much. I'm open for questions now. And just to remind you, we have this book that we're offering to all of you for free. It's a wonderful book I wrote. It's more for lay people, but it has all the information necessary. If you're a doctor, it has all the references. The explanation of the vaccine is a very simplistic explanation because it's such a complicated theme. But in order to get patients to understand, we made it very simple. But it states everything that we do at the hospital, including the metabolic therapy that we do in combination with this very personalized anti-tumor immune therapy based on dendritic cells. Yes.
Hi, Doctor. Thanks for taking some questions. I have some for my brother who's lying on the floor there. He has a large, diffuse large B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It was systemic. He got some treatment, low-dose chemo in Mexico last year. It removed all the systemic, but a small cell or two maybe went into his CNS, and it's been growing there. And he couldn't use his left leg after like a week. It just kind of shot up immediately because it's very aggressive. And he got treatment at Virginia, where we live, for methotrexate, high-dose methotrexate. It also treated with the R, so it was a RMP treatment. And after the first treatment, 40% reduced, so that was successful. But the second, third, and fourth didn't do anything. And then so they switched it up to something called the TED-ZR regimen. And after the first treatment, along with a lot of the metabolic drugs that have been we've been researching and supplements, it seems like it reduced it, 80, perhaps even 90%, to the point that they're thinking it might be complete resolution. Perhaps not, but after the second treatment, there hasn't been any change the scans have showed, but it's left his right leg completely unusable. So we're searching for answers. It seems like it's neuropathy, but there still may be some kind of disease in the CNS that we're not catching or the doctors aren't seeing. So wanted to collect your ideas and thoughts on what you've seen in the past. We have noticed that we've done some blood tests, and his coenzyme 10 is through the roof for some reason. We're not taking any supplements for it. And his vitamin E is also through the roof for some reason. We're not taking supplements for that either.
We've had quite a bit of experience with patients with lymphoma. Until now, the application of dendritic cell-based immunotherapy in blood-borne tumors, especially circulating tumors, has not proven to be effective. But there's new research now where we are inclined to use that new technology in developing the quote-unquote vaccine, where they claim that it's really effective against lymphomas and leukemias. We still have no experience with this. We're very interested. It's strange that this tumor mutates so fast that it responds very well to everything.
The first time, yeah.
And then the tumor becomes resistant immediately. I think that anything that would work on NF-kappa B. NF-kappa B is an inflammatory process that if it can be blocked, it can help patients like that so that they don't become resistant so fast. And so I don't know if in any of the protocols it was combined with steroids. Because steroids are the main blocker of NF-kappa B.
Yeah, there were.
I have, again, because our treatment has not proven to be very effective in lymphomas, and chemotherapy has proven to be very effective in lymphomas generally. We use a lot more conventional therapies than alternative therapies. And so if you send me all the reports, I would be very happy to discuss your brother's case with our board, and we'll get back to you and see if we can offer anything.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Nice to meet you. How do you prepare a patient for the immune vaccines that you're giving?
That's a good question, because since many of our patients come with after chemotherapy and their white counts are really very, very bad, in some cases we will use hormone therapy to increase the number of all of the cells. In Mexico, we still don't have available, our FDA has not approved the ones that are specifically to increase the amount of monocytes. I know that in America you have a couple of those. So whenever we have to, we will try to improve the blood counts with what we have available.
Does that also include, what do you do then once you give them the therapy? What are you doing to continue their treatment? Can you give them other alternative treatments to keep them?
Oh, yes. This is always in combination with the metabolic therapy.
Okay. And does this work on the cancer stem cells as well?
We have no information if the immune therapy kills stem cells. I have not seen any publication about that, but I'll look more into it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you for your work because you saved the life of one of my best friends in 2016. And because of that, she was doing the dendritic cell vaccine and she came home and told us about it. And 6 months later was in remission. And that's why I'm a cancer coach today. So thank you for your work. My question is, it's amazing. High quality of life after this type of treatment. How are we getting this to America? That's my question.
Well, it's amazing that, and there's this rare thing in Mexico that they came up with common sense. But in America, they're stuck with clinical trials to prove safety. Efficacy has been already proven. But in Mexico, they say, well, if it's an autologous vaccine, it's never going to be given to anybody else. They approved it 14 years ago. And here, I think it's been approved already for pancreatic cancer in America, I think. So I hope that soon you will have it available. It's going to be extremely expensive.
Yeah, I did actually hear that there's a trial in Seattle area for breast cancer. Yeah, good. Great.
Our next thing, our laboratory is preparing to do CAR T cells, and I think that's one of the hopes that we have in oncology to be even more effective than this. Thank you.
Thank you. We're flipping sides, sorry.
It's me. Thank you for your work.
Let me know when we're done, okay?
When you see the last man standing.
Okay. It's ominous.
I have multiple myeloma, and I'm wondering if this is applicable for the environment in the bone marrow with multiple myeloma.
It's considered a blood-borne disease.
Blood-borne, yeah.
The experience is very minimal because from the beginning it was stated that it shouldn't work or that it didn't work in this. So we're just beginning to use it. I think that it should be effective, but that's a hunch based on what we've seen with all other tumors, but we have very little experience using the dendritic cell vaccine in multiple myeloma.
But you are doing it.
We normally will do conventional first because it's responds very, very well. Once that's done, we recommend our therapy to reduce the risk of recurrence, and when possible, to do it before the chemotherapy because the tolerance is better and the long effects are better. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Dr. Saupe has a question. Oh, no, there's somebody before him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to see if, since you've been doing this, I heard for 14 years, did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
So does it continue to work all those years, or does it have a drop off at some point?
Okay, so what we do is that when we see a good response, we will continue vaccinating for 5 years. So the first year, maybe 3 vaccinations. Then the next year, 2 vaccinations. If the results are as good as the ones that I mentioned, then once a year for 5 years, and then we graduate the patients. Most of them will stay cancer-free. If there's any recurrence, then we start the process again.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Guten Abend. Guten Tag.
Guten Tag, lieber Herr Kollege, my dear colleague. Thank you for your presentation. About 10 years ago, I left a group of doctors in Germany who specialized in dendritic cell therapy around Thomas Nesselhut. I don't know if you know him. He has a laboratory for dendritic cells in Duderstadt, that's close to Göttingen. There was collaboration with Göttingen University, with Professor Peters, who was also on the list to be awarded with a Nobel Prize, but he didn't get it. So for more than a year, I tried to help patients with dendritic cell therapies, and I did my best together with my friends, and I didn't see good results. And after this year, I treated 13 patients, I had to make a decision that I don't see what I have expected. It was far below the level of expectation, and I focus on other things. I do many other things. And most of my colleagues that were in this group have left the group, and there are only a few left. I studied from a distance, and I'm still hesitant to send patients to dendritic cell therapy. What you showed us looked great. I know it's a difficult question, and I hate it if patients ask me this question, but do you dare to share a success rate with us, or could you guide me into a direction, what kind of patients I could send to you with a reasonable chance to get a good result, because it's pricey and it's time consuming, and so there are many reasons why we have to check first if this is a good candidate. My last word before I'm eager to hear your answer is what we believed at that time 10 years ago, why so many patients didn't respond very well to the treatment is because of too much silent inflammation or inflammatory processes in their blood that mislead the dendritic cells and spoil the whole procedure. So thank you for listening to my question.
Thank you. Well, the first is that what we noticed is that the quality control in many laboratories is extremely poor. And so patients are receiving some sort of immune therapy, but it's not effective because it's not well done. Unfortunately, that's a fact. The second question is very good because I think that all of us here have a good patient or two or three. And the important thing is long-term and groups of patients. As you know, doing prospective clinical trials is a complicated and costly thing. We're a small entity, maybe like yours. And but we've been able to do 4 prospective clinical trials by the book. And by the book means it is allowed for small entities to compare your treated group to the literature. What does that mean? In order for you to do a double-blind study, you have to have 2 groups. One receives the therapy and the other one receives the placebo. If you're a private enterprise where you're charging, obviously it's immoral to charge both groups the same. If not, they would know who. So we were able to group our patients to similar groups in the literature, and that's how we did the comparison. So when you do that, it is impossible. It is not allowed to do P2. Okay, so significance is not possible, but the results are very good. So in these 4 groups, it's cancer of the lung, cancer of the ovary cancer of the colon, and then 2 ramifications of cancer of the breast. Cancer patients, all stage 4, breast cancer patients that had therapy, and the other group, breast cancer patients without therapy, virgin to treatment. In the lung cancers where we had our best results, but it's a caveat, okay? 1% 5-year survival rate, ours is 9%. 9 times better, but in cancer of the lung, most people will die before 24 months of diagnosis.
How big was the N? How many participants? How big was the N?
All of the groups were 22 patients. So small groups, again, we varied, but enough to do stats. In ovarian cancer, 3 times better than the conventional. In breast cancer, in colon cancer, 3 times better. In breast cancer, when they had chemotherapy and radiation therapy, 3 times better. When they were virgin to treatment, 5 times better. And the beauty about this, when you look at it, is that we got all the regions, right? When in the conventional, they were virgin to treatment. So we believe that our numbers are very good.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Hi, is it on? Yeah, 2 questions. What are the side effects? And the other question is it as effective for a cancer that has metastasized? Let's say it started as a tumor, but then it went to the bones. I know you said you don't have.
Well, all the cases that you saw were metastasized, massively.
Okay, into bones. Okay, all right. And what about side effects?
Well, there was one patient, the one with the tumor in the neck, only to the lymph nodes. But the breast cancer patients, all to the bones, and the prostate cancer patients, all to the bones.
And and side effects?
Side effects are very typical of just about any vaccine, which flu-like symptoms. In about, we had only one case where the immune reaction was severe, where we needed to use some steroids. But we've had no issues with side effects
Okay.
at all.
And then how often do you get it?
So right now we're giving it every 3 months. When we have this new technique that I was telling you about, we want to hopefully give it to the patients every month for at least 6 months. And we believe that that's going to be much better.
Okay, we have one more question.
I just want to make sure I heard correctly. Did you say that CAR T cell therapy would be more efficient than dendritic
At least
vaccine?
the literature says that. The problem with CAR T cells is that every treatment is about $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
The insurance don't pay for it. We believe that in about 2 years we'll be ready to produce them for around between $50,000 and $70,000.
But if somebody were to get it, that would be your
Yes.
preference?
Yes, as far as we know now, that's where the future of immunotherapy is going.
Okay.
We'll see if it's as effective or not.
And the metastasis, when you said breast cancer metastases to the bones, what about to the liver?
Yes, the patient that you saw had massive metastasis to the liver as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And Dr. Contreras has a table out in the hallway as well, so if you want to stop in and meet his team and discuss anything with them personally or make an appointment to do a consult, they're very welcoming and open to having patients and families contact them, and they're a really great group. Are you standing for a question?
Yeah.
I'm
just
sorry.
Take like 10 seconds.
Okay.
I was just wondering if.
You're the one with follow-up questions. Sorry about that.
10 seconds.
I was just wondering if
10, 9.
during or after your therapy, if you do anything to boost the macrophages in the patient to clean up any dead cell debris that's left over.
When it's necessary, yes. In most cases, it isn't.
What do you do? Like, how do you?
There are drugs that will increase the number of cells, and that makes it easier for the people in the laboratory to produce a vaccine. Was that your question?
Yeah, I was just curious, like what drugs that you use to boost the macrophages.
Well, I don't know if
It's okay.
that would be the same here in America. Most likely not.
Thanks.
Okay. Don't forget to pick up your book. Otherwise, my luggage is going to be very heavy going back. Thank you very much. God bless you. Dr. Contreras, thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.